Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Devil's Due. I am your host, Carl Duty, and with me, as always, the man who did the Kessel Run in only 10 parsecs while riding a chocobo, Mr. Drew Celestino.
Wow, that's universal crossing right there.
There's so much crossover.
Wow, 10 parsecs.
10 parsecs. You bested the old record by 2.
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable beating Han.
Well, you know, records are made to be broken, sir. An old sage said once long ago.
I guess so, but then again, I was on a chocobo. Was it a golden chocobo?
It was a golden chocobo.
See,
you bred it. You put in the time.
I put the time and work in, son.
You put in time. You got the golden chocobo. You got Knights of the Round with it.
Do I have Mimic as well?
You do have Mimic, so when you hit your Knights of the Round, you can go up, fix a fine meal for yourself,
Yep.
Eat the meal, read a book, come back, and then
it's my only chance of defeating the Emerald Weapon, so it's okay.
There you go. Here we are again, episode number 2. How you doing?
Okay.
Doing good?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Did you have a good week? You had a show.
I did have a show. Yeah.
How'd the show go?
If anyone that listened to our first episode, hey, thank you, number 1. Number 2, yeah, I performed with my band, The Long Cold Dark, at the Mohawk Place. It was good. It's a good show. My buddy,
awesome.
My buddy Chris came in town from Rhode Island. My buddy Phil, I think I might have mentioned this, Phil Boyle came up with his band Days Beneath from Cleveland, Ohio, and they played the bill as well, and they filmed everything nice and 3-camera professionally, so I'm going to start putting clips up on YouTube and all that. So I put one song up yesterday, I think, maybe the day before, and now we'll just do a song a day or something like that or whatever. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Awesome.
It was fun. It was, shows are a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen you perform. That when you are on that stage with The Long Cold Dark, that is your final form. So that your power level is definitely way over 9,000 at that point.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
it's the only time I feel 12 feet tall, so it works.
And I've seen you after shows too, and you're just like, I can't do much of anything right now.
Well, physically, it destroys me for at least 3 days, and then on top of that, the emotional roller coaster that I go on is pretty crazy. In the arts, you get really you can anyway get really pent up with how an audience received the show or lack of an audience, or that kind. You start second guessing everything, and it just becomes a real roller coaster of emotions. So I've been kind of dealing with all that all week, so it'll pass. I'm kind of listening to some new tunes this week to kind of cleanse the palate a little and see if I can kindle some inspiration in a different vein. I don't know. We'll see.
Cool.
It's been all right. How about you? What'd you do this week?
I didn't do much this week. We're on mandatory overtime at work.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah. So I'm putting in an extra 2 hours a day. So by the time I get home, I'm just kind of like, okay, take care of the baby, play some Street Fighter, go to sleep. So this week has been kind of low-key. My niece had her 19th birthday this past week, so that was fun. Got together with family and celebrated that. Happy birthday to you, Alicia, if you're listening.
Take her to Canada, man.
No.
Get that girl a beer.
No. That's not going to happen, because I found very quickly once I married Julie, my amazing wife, and got to know her family and everything, and came to love my nieces and nephews the way I do. No. She brought a boyfriend home, and I was searching for a spot in the forest to hide the body.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. They're going to grow up, man. It's okay. You gotta.
I know. So, as we mentioned, this is our second episode. Our first episode has been very well received.
Well, that's good.
We want to thank everybody who gave our first episode a shot, downloaded, listened to it, recommended to friends. We've gotten some great feedback on it.
We did.
This is, of course, a work in progress. The show will evolve and turn into really cool things, and it's going to be a fun trip, and we hope to have you all along with us. If you would like to follow that journey, there are some places, though, you can go to find us in the social medias ether, if you will. Probably the most common being used nowadays is the Twitters, which you can follow us at Devil's Due Pod. If you like, you can also like our page on Facebook, which is at facebook.com/Devil's Due Pod, or you can just search The Devil's Due. And also, if you would like to practice the ancient art of email.
I love email.
The ancient art. You may email us at thedevilsdupod@gmail.com.
And I should point out that I am working on a proper website for us. There's just been some hosting troubles with our friends at GoDaddy who are not very good hosting providers. As a web developer, let me tell you that they are a little uncool. So
because you actually know legit technologies.
Well,
you are honed in the arts of making the internets.
What I'm finding is I had that account for a while, and as a professional, I'm finding out that GoDaddy is not meant for me. It's meant for people who don't know what they're doing. So in the name of making it simple, they've made it really difficult to find things that I need to hook up our to make everything work nice and in kosher. So I had a little battle with them this week, and as it turns out, they ended up charging me more money for my hosting renewal than I anticipated, because they automatically bumped us up to the deluxe hosting package, which at the time of my renewal I did not need, but now that we are doing this show, I do. So at the time, angry. Now, okay, well, thanks. That kind of did me a favor because we needed it anyway. But at the same time, had I known that then, I would have not gone with them at all. So
there you go. We had a web link for our first episode. I know some people listened to it on that, and that worked out pretty well. The first episode's also available on iTunes. I know we mentioned in the past episode, we've mentioned on the Facebook page that we'd be available on SoundCloud. SoundCloud ran into a little bit of a problem. They're kind of...
It's called money.
Yeah, they're more constrictive now than they used to be. So SoundCloud, maybe in the future, maybe not. We don't know yet.
If we could get a nice friendly sponsor to kick in the cash for that every month, that'd be fantastic.
Or if you just want to send us money.
Or that.
We're
yeah,
okay
sure.
with that.
Money's good too. But
so, again, big thank you to everybody who listened to the first episode and has liked and followed us. Hope you recommend us, share us, put us out there, and yeah, going to be great.
I do have a pro tip.
Pro tip, game pro tip.
The URL that we provided for the podcast on the Facebooks, that is our XML feed, which if you use any sort of podcasting software, iTunes included, you can just use that URL in that software and you will get every new episode as we release them from that URL automatically. You don't have to update anything. Just put it into your podcast application of choice and everything will be there, I promise. So
awesome.
Just make that clear on the technical end of things.
Okay, so for this week, we had kind of kicked around the idea of there's currently a Daredevil / Punisher series going on right now. It's a limited series at Marvel Comics. It's currently, I think, about mid-run. I think it's going to be their 6 to 10 issue miniseries.
Oh my God, it's only like number 2.
Well, number 3 came out this week.
Oh, okay.
So
I have them all. All right. As you can see, I'm a little backed up in my comics.
Your to-read pile is much bigger than mine. You're so dutiful.
It's nice of you to say.
You're so dutiful about bagging and boarding.
I am. I'm very religious.
I am not.
Yeah, number 3. You're right.
Yeah, number 3 came out. We were toying with the idea of reviewing it, but we decided to hold off on that till A, the series is complete, and B, I know it's early into the show, but this week's episode of Daredevil
might command a lot of time.
Yeah, it's going to command a lot of time. So we're pretty much going to focus on this week's episode, and we're going to do some fun stuff for you next week when the episode we can. I don't want to say give a little less time to, or it's not as important. It's just this week's episode. I'm gonna say something that sounds contradictory and sounds weird, but just kind of go with me. This is the best episode of the season, arguably the series.
Ooh,
and it just keeps getting better after this.
Well,
see what I'm saying? It's
let me try and put it into a clearer way, because I'm confused by your statement. I would say, if you liked the first episode of Daredevil, the second episode, at the conclusion of it, was the moment that you immediately said, "This show is freaking amazing." Yeah. First episode, we enjoyed it. We talked about it last week. It was great. We had good feels about it. It felt right. The tone was right. We were all amped up. Like, hey, cool. This is what we're getting. And hey, it's good. End of episode 2, I think we all had this dumbfounded look on our face, sitting on your couch watching it, like, did that seriously just happen? Did this just become our favorite show of all time? Yep, pretty much. Like,
yeah, it's that scene from Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? Yep.
It's like that. It's exactly like that.
Yeah, I remember I just rewatched it today. Much more flashbacky than I remember.
I would agree. I have notes this week, so
as do I. So let's dive into the episode. Season 1, episode 2.
Well, hang on. Before we dive into the scene by scene, I would say that this is because it's such a pivotal episode. You listeners may have already heard other people talk about it. Yeah. This episode's been very very widely covered, so we're kind of treading familiar territory, but at the same time, this show is dedicated to Daredevil, and it's a badass episode of Daredevil. So we're gonna go off on it here.
A couple of people who have been who have followed our show in its infancy have said that they're excited about this week's episode of our show because we're covering this second episode. No. You know, you may have heard phrases like hallway fight or single shot, or
they cheated it, but yes, it is a single shot.
Yeah. So, but yeah, is just you get the feeling in this episode that this episode kind of defined the show. More so than the first episode.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, the first episode kind of gave the theory of the show. This episode solidified it.
Yeah, this one basically put all the pieces, well, not the pieces in place, but like it solidified the tone, it solidified the action. It kind of set a high bar actually for the rest of the season, which we're going to find out if it holds up or not. But I like you said, it's the best episode, and then it just keeps getting better. So I would say then I guess it does. Are you kind
of starting to understand the saying a little more?
A little bit
now that you're processing it.
It's a backhanded compliment in a way to the show itself, because the show is great. Every episode is great. This is just one of its high points. That this was the first high point of many to come, where we all kind of, like I said, sat there, mouths agape, and just wondering, wow, can I have more? Perhaps you've seen the meme on the interwebs of the Dave Chappelle as the hobo, and it's just, y'all got any more of those Daredevil episodes? That's kind of where this came. This episode is like the one where that became true. So,
and that leads us to the inherent problem with Netflix series. Not just Daredevil, but I think it's safe to say Netflix is putting out some good quality original programming.
Sure.
You get it, you devour it, and then you're done, and you're just like, now I have to wait so much longer.
I know. Although I'm better than most. Some people devour the whole friggin' season in a day. Like, oh my God, I can't do that. I need 2 episodes a night, maybe 3 if I'm really feeling generous. I'll pace that out over a week or so.
I am not one to devour an entire season in a day, but I will usually devour as many episodes as Julie allow.
Yeah, I understand completely.
Because at some point she's just like, okay, I love the show, but can we watch something else?
So dare I ask then, in any TV show you've ever watched together, what is the record number of episodes that you have consumed? Any show.
I think this is kind of cheating. It's probably Friends, because that's her all-time favorite show.
I'm sorry.
When we got together, we watched each other's all-time favorite television show. For me, it's The West Wing. Mm-hmm. For her, it's Friends. So we went through Friends, and because it's just a half an hour show, like on a day off or something, and this is, pre-Baby William, we would do, 3.5 hours at a time.
So that's 6-ish episodes.
Yeah, and I enjoy the show. I like it. It's funny. I'm not ashamed to say it.
You should be, but that's okay. That's
shush. Everybody loves Friends.
So, all right, that's fair. I think my record is 4 episodes of Lost in a day. In a night.
Julie was a big Lost fan.
So was I until I wasn't.
This will be the last little story before we get in the episode, I promise. Julie was a big Lost fan.
We're giving the episode color.
Yeah, exactly. And we actually started dating. I think how many seasons was Lost? Was it
6? I
6?
Think, yeah.
Okay, so we started dating, I think, late 4th, early 5th season.
It was already turning downward by then, but go on.
And I had this is obviously before streaming television services and whatnot, so I had no way of going back and watching the original one. So I just kind of jumped in where it was. So she's
you poor bastard.
Yeah, really. So she's explaining things here and there, and I developed habits that really annoyed her. Like, every time Dominic Moynihan's character would show up on screen, I would just go, look at me, I'm a hobbit. I'm a hobbit on an island, just running around like a hobbit. And I would drive her crazy. And then when Hurley would show up on screen, I would constantly be like, how is he still alive? Because he is a large man. And I, being of the large man fraternity myself, card-carrying member of P.S. I'm Fat, if I was marooned on an island like that, I am not surviving long for a couple reasons. Primarily, it's clear I don't have survival skills to begin with. And secondly, eventually, people are going to get hungry and look around, and I'm the one with the most meat on my bone.
Well, they explained that in the show. It was one of the few things they actually did explain.
Yeah.
They had food drops from mysterious sources.
All right, so on to the episode of Daredevil.
Don't ask me about Lost sometime. Not on this show. I have so many thoughts. That's where I learned epic disappointment for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, the first time since The Phantom Menace, anyway.
She asked me if I wanted to go back and watch it from the beginning. I'm like, what's the point?
Here's the thing.
I know how it ends.
Here's what's so unsatisfying about that. Last thought about Lost. I'm sorry. It's TV. It's all TV. Daredevil's a TV show. See, it's all thematic. That show, like I said, I was doing 4 episodes a night because I'm telling you, when it was good, the first 3, 4 maybe seasons, it was so good. And I mean so good.
Yeah.
That sweet, sweet Lost neck. You rub it on your teeth. It was so good. And then it just turned.
Rub it on your teeth.
You got to know it's the good stuff.
We're both thinking of Dennis Leary, too.
A little bit.
Give me some more rub it on gups.
It's kind of like that. And then it just never, you started, there was a point when you're like, you know what? They're not going to stick this landing. And then, they didn't. Crap.
Well, luckily we have Daredevil to save
Yes, Daredevil will save the day.
From mediocre television.
We hope.
All right, so episode 2.
Yes.
This episode is entitled Cut Man. We begin this episode...
Very literal.
In so many ways, very literal. We begin this episode with a very quick scene before the intro, much unlike last episode where it was a good 5-10 minutes before the intro animation. It's a very quick scene, trail of blood leading up to a dumpster. In dumpster is Matt.
Yes.
And he is clearly having a bad night.
He is busted up, bleeding profusely.
Yeah. And we're all just like, what's going on? Because last we saw you were on top of the building and about ready to go do some stuff.
Doing your hero stuff.
You were all in good shape and everything.
Well.
Yeah. And Matt's found by a kid who's taking out the garbage, and he's just kind of standing there, mouth agape, not knowing what's going on.
Well, this episode does a really good job, and I think we touched on it in the first episode, but this one, again, is kind of really, really hammers it home. Matt, despite having super senses and whatnot, is not super powered. So he doesn't have healing, he doesn't have super strength, and this episode shows you just how human Matt really is.
Right.
Because in this episode, he is largely busted up for the duration.
Okay, and the kid goes and gets help, and we meet for the first time Claire,
Rosario Dawson,
played amazingly by Miss Rosario Dawson.
I'm kind of a fan of Rosario Dawson.
I'm a fan of her work too. She's done a lot of things that you probably can't make huge arguments for being the Academy Award winning films, but I really enjoy what she does. She's like, if I see her in something, I'm most likely going to enjoy her in it despite the film.
I'm mostly just remarking how pretty hot she is, but whatever. It's all good. She's a good actress too.
So now Rosario Dawson is playing Claire. When we watched this episode first, when we were in my place, we were questioning immediately, is this night nurse?
Kinda. One of them.
So let's explain to the listeners.
It's not the night nurse.
Yes. So let's explain to the listeners who may not be as informed who night nurse is.
Well, there's a few of them. You didn't write this down? Oh man, I wasn't ready. Hold on, I got to get my night nurse notes up.
I was watching the episode and I was like, you know what? Should I look into night nurse? Nah, Drew knows this.
Well, see, unfortunately, because there's been a few night nurses, I don't know all of them offhand. So I have the power of the internet in my hand.
There you go. Well, while you're looking at the base concept of night nurse is a nurse who is available to the superhero community, if you will, the vigilante community, to kind of provide them medical services when needed, without danger of like exposure. Because like if you're Spider-Man, even though it's happened a couple times, you get banged up. You can't necessarily just check yourself into a hospital.
No, as Matt constantly begs Claire not to do.
Yes. So as Drew's looking that up, we get through the intro and we open up on Matt in Claire's apartment. Matt has multiple injuries, severe injuries. Claire is an actual nurse. She's not just like the quote unquote night nurse. She's an actual nurse. She's patching him up and she takes Matt's mask off. And this is the first time that we have, at least in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the concept of a secret identity and that identity being revealed.
Except she doesn't know who he is anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
It goes back to that one episode of Justice League, the Great Brain Robbery, where Lex Luthor takes over Flash's body and he's like trying to escape the satellite and he runs into the restroom to hide from the rest of the Justice League. It sounds a lot cornier than it actually is. But, and he's like, well, at least I can find out the identity of who the Flash is. So he takes off the mask, he looks in the mirror, and after a couple seconds of silence, he's just like, yeah, I have no idea who this person is. So, yeah, Claire takes off Matt's mask, sees his identity, doesn't know who he is, still patching him up.
So, just real quick, night nurse, her name is Linda Carter. No relation to Wonder Woman. How about that? And according to the wikis here, Night Nurse is the name of Marvel comic book series published in the early 1970s, as well as the alter ego later taken on by one of its characters, Linda Carter. Carter was one of the three central characters created by writer Gene Thomas, who first appeared in Night Nurse #1, though she was previously the lead of another Marvel series published in 1961. Carter later adopted the name Night Nurse for herself, and in this incarnation first appeared in Daredevil Volume 2, number 58, May 2004, written by Brian Michael Bendis, as a medical professional specializing in helping injured superheroes.
There we go.
There's your Night Nurse history.
And background. Excellent.
A little bit. Sir. We can go deeper, but, you know.
Yeah. So now which comes to the first of what I didn't remember being surprising many flashbacks.
There were a lot in this episode, more than I remembered watching it originally.
Yeah, it really established the relationship between Matt and his father. We discussed in the previous episode Matt's introduction, discussing his father in the confessional, but these flashbacks seem to really ground not only the character's relationship with his father at a young age, but also Matt's motivation for what he does in the present.
So I have some, and on that, like in these scenes with Matt and Jack, Batlin and Jack, I have some notes. So for starters, Jack loses the fight that Matt's watching. This is pre-accident Matt. He can see. Okay. And when Jack does come home after the fight, my first thought is, God darn, man. There's no doctors in whatever facility that Jack boxes in. He comes home still busted up. Like, Jack, dude, buddy, your manager's really skimping on you here. But,
manager? Do you think Batlin Jack really has a manager?
Considering that we learn in that scene that we learn a lot of things in this scene. Number one, Matt has patched up Jack before.
Yeah.
Number two, alcoholism is fun for the whole family.
I had a note on that too.
As you know, Batlin Jack lets Matt sample the scotch.
I had a note on that. I just kind of wrote it down. Old world parenting. Let the kid have a drink.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, for those of us in our generation, maybe younger, is probably not uncommon for a father to let you sample alcohol at a young age, probably before he should have. Although with my father, it was just like a beer. He's like, here, you want to try it? Have a sip. It's not like, here, finish it off for me. It was just like, you're curious? Have a sip, try it. I was like 10. It wasn't hard scotch, which it is in this scenario.
Yeah, and then Matt also sees the envelope of money that Jack brought home.
And he's surprised how much money he actually gets for losing.
Yes. But again, he can take... Jack, next time they hand you the money, you're like, you know what? This money's great. But can you also get a guy to patch me up before I go home?
Can I get a Band-Aid?
Yeah, something.
I don't care.
A towel.
I don't care if it's got Hello Kitty on it. Can I get a Band-Aid?
I have a gaping head wound.
Exactly.
Please.
So Matt stitches him up, and then that's the end of that flashback.
But we do get the impression that, obviously Jack, honorable boxer that he is and decent father, he's probably getting paid on the side for taking dives.
Yeah.
That old trope. But it's a good trope in this case.
Which, he's doing it for... I think he's aware of himself. He knows that, obviously, he's not going to go up against the heavyweight champion of the world anytime soon.
Right.
He understands that, he's got greater responsibilities in Matt that he has to take care of.
Yep.
So I think for him, the ends justify the means, and
sure,
he can keep a roof over Matt's head. And if he's got to sacrifice a little pride to do it, that's okay.
Yes, but let's just say we'll come back to it. But pride does kind of come back to bite him. So anyway, moving on.
So we see we jump to Karen and Foggy.
Yeah, I have Foggy being foggy in my notes.
Yes, Foggy, they're in the offices, the Nelson and Murdoch offices, kind of unpacking, setting the office up. Foggy is off camera in his office singing an operatic tune of some sort.
Poorly, mind you.
Possibly a Gilbert and Sullivan.
I don't know.
Yeah, all I could think of, like, he could come out and say to Karen, I shall send you to heaven before I send you to hell.
Dude, if it's not
Sideshow Bob
rock or metal,
reference.
I don't know.
So yeah, he's singing a musical song. Nothing out of Sideshow Bob reference. Come on.
It's been a while.
So, okay, Karen hears him and is just like, you realize I'm still here? And he comes out joking / flirting.
So this is a cool little, whatever. This is the setup. They're starting to bait the hook for the pseudo-love triangle that will, spoilers, kind of come into play. So Foggy's enamored with Miss Page, and you can guess, women that look like Miss Page generally don't go out with guys who look like Foggy.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
And Foggy, by all means, is not a shrubby-looking dude or anything.
No, he's not. He's not a chud or anything. Just
he's kind of punching above his weight class.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Especially when your law partner is one Matthew Murdoch.
Yeah, so they're just kind of hanging out, and they decide, enough of this work, we'll go out and have a good time.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Besides, we can barely. This is interesting to me. He remarks that they can't afford to keep the electricity on past a certain hour because obviously they're a broken start, and yet they have enough money to go out and get drinks in New York.
Yeah,
you know what a drink costs in New York?
Yep.
Jesus, Foggy. I capital letters in my notes. Priorities.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
So then I think for a brief time, we go back to Claire's apartment. There's some quick back and forth between Claire and Matt.
We get some background information.
Yeah, she's kind of discovering, okay, this guy is not, because she can tell, being a nurse, she does the light test with his eyes.
Yeah.
She figures out that he's blind.
Yep.
But she doesn't quite, she's confused by this because, as we learn later on, she kind of knows who Matt is in the Daredevil sense.
Which is why she did not report him to the police or call for an ambulance immediately when she found him, as we find out in the course of the episode.
And at the same time, she's asking for an explanation.
Right.
So that she doesn't do these things, because if she doesn't, and he, as she put the phrase, gives up the ghost in the apartment, she's going to end up in jail.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So his outfit, as he remarks, is a work in progress.
Yes.
I like that little line.
Yes.
It's a hint of things to come,
Yeah,
although they came very late.
Another wink to the audience that we're going to get there.
We'll get there.
Don't worry.
Very late, but we'll get there.
Yep. And then we go to another flashback. This flashback is immediately post-accident.
Yes.
Matt is in the hospital. He's waking up for the first time, and they show us how his abilities manifest, and that everything is extremely loud.
Now, I want to tie this back into maybe the other incarnation of Daredevil that people might be familiar with, that being the Ben Affleck movie. And while, again, the movie very flawed and maybe the less said the better, but one thing I think it did do pretty well was the radar sense.
Yes.
I did like the way they did that, and that scene when Matt wakes up in the hospital bed in the movie with the drop of IV, and it's just thunderously loud, and it casts the echo over the whole room that he can finger quotes see.
Yeah. It's
the
a
approach.
drop.
The approach here, though, in the show is different. We don't. In fact, in the show, 2 seasons now of the show, to my recollection, and you correct me if I am wrong, I think there is only 1, maybe 2 instances of them showing his radar sense at all.
Yes,
at all,
and it's very different.
Yes,
from the way they
radically
chose to
different
represent the movie. So maybe that's something that they're going to get into in season 3, and possibly the Defenders.
You know what? I don't even know if I need them to, because like we said last week in our first episode about the first episode, this show treats you like you have a functional brain.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily have to show you. You get it. Like, yeah. So as Matt wakes up and everything is very loud, like he says, and he's freaking out, you're getting the impression that it's obviously something's different, and he has abilities that we don't, and it's he's going to learn to use them, and he does that. They actually kind of do a sort of yin and yang, then and now situation when he's a kid. And it's all loud, and he's freaking out, and his dad's like trying to calm him down in the hospital bed and reassure him that he's everything's okay. Mm-hmm. The abilities are like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Cut to after this flashback, as we'll see, Claire gets a first-hand glimpse of like how insanely fine-tuned Matt's senses really are.
Yeah, he explains to her that he was explaining what he was doing, in that he was going to find the kid that was kidnapped at the end of the first episode.
Right.
And it turns out that kidnapping was a setup for Matt. As we discussed in the first episode, the crime families get an initial report. Matt is pestering the Russians primarily, because that's who he is probably most aware of currently.
Sure.
So he is going after the Russians, and so the Russians decide to set a trap for Matt. And Matt, again, being very new to this, being kind of a rookie, just kind of stumbles into the trap and gets
cut up,
gets his butt handed to him.
Hence being in the dumpster bleeding like a stuck pig.
So, but since the Russians know that he's not dead, they're looking for him in the neighborhood, and Matt says to Claire, someone is coming. He's on the 3rd floor.
And clearly by saying that, they are not on the 3rd floor. And he also remarks that he can smell him. He smells like cigarettes and cheap cologne.
Yeah. No, it's premium cigarettes and bargain cologne.
Correct.
Which I thought was... I just like that line. For
sure. Reason. Priorities. Again.
Yeah.
See? There's a theme in this episode. Mixed priorities.
And Claire's just like, how?
How do you know that?
Exactly.
Right.
So... the guy shows up posing as a cop, asks if, Claire has seen anything out of the ordinary. Claire says no. He goes away. Claire feels relief, thinking that she has, dissuaded him from pursuing any further.
Right.
But Matt knows differently.
Correct. Real quick before the very cool scene, I did have there's some cool Easter eggs, because there is a little flashback scene before that dude shows up at the door. Matt can't breathe. His lungs are full of fluid, he's got air in his
air in his chest.
Air in his chest, and it's collapsing his lungs. So Claire has to puncture his chest to get the air out, which is oh my god, stuff like that freaks me out.
Yeah.
What was the movie where they they put like a pen in the dude's throat so he could breathe.
It's not the puncture that freaked me out. It's the sound of the air coming out. It's like they'll.
I'm trying to think of what movie. It might have been a TV show, but someone couldn't breathe. So what they do, they punctured his neck and they put a pen in it so he could breathe out of his pen in his neck. I forgot what it was. Oh God, dear listeners, hit us on social media and let you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking of. It's God.
I know it too, but at the same time I'm blanking on
It's
what it
freaky and it's scary and human beings are gross. Anyway, but in that flashback, as he's like, before he wakes up unable to breathe and he's remembering another scene with Jack in the gym. There's some posters on the wall in the gym, which I thought were very interesting. And one of them being, well, number one, Creel, again, because, Crusher Creel, the absorbing man. But also, there was a Weeks versus Barton poster.
I saw that.
Lee Weeks, for those who don't know, Lee Weeks is an artist who has done many a book for Marvel, and I believe he's currently doing Daredevil. Is he not? Is it Lee Weeks doing it right now?
I think it might be.
There you go. It's kind of weird because he wasn't doing it at the time.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing. Anyway. And also, Barton. Gee, whose last name is Barton in the Marvel Universe?
Let me think. Captain America?
No.
Hulk?
No.
Black Widow?
Close, but no.
Hawkeye? I got it.
You got it. Hawkeye. My man Clint. Now, probably not Clint, but maybe his dad.
Mother?
Yeah, maybe Barton. Not a coincidence. No way. And then also, this is also where the Irish gangsters tell Jack that he's going to take a dive in the fifth. And Pulp Fiction. Anyone? This scene is very reminiscent of the scene in Pulp Fiction where Bruce Willis has to sit down in front of Marcellus Wallace, and even write down to some of the dialogue.
You're gonna feel sting in your head.
It's pride. We're not gonna. We'll keep this show family friendly as best we can, which is amazing for me, by the way, because I'm chomping at the bit to drop some bombs. But it's okay. But he even says, like, they tell him that he's going down in the fifth round, and they tell him, "We want to hear you say it." Wallace said that to Bruce Willis, and I was kind of Jack should have watched Pulp Fiction. He would know this is a bad situation. But anyway, Matt heard him, and he knew it was no good. Anyway, Matt wakes up. Guys come into the apartment. He's up to no good. He's not a cop. Claire gets him to go away by saying that she hasn't seen anybody suspicious, because the cop feeds her up. Again, finger quotes, cop. Yeah. Says that a guy in a black mask held up a convenience store or something and shot somebody, and
he's feeding her a line.
Right, he's lying to her. So he takes off, but she thinks that she's gotten rid of him. Matt knows he didn't believe her because he can hear him in the hallway as he is walking away.
Dialing his cell phone to call his Russian comrades.
He's getting reinforcements. And Matt decides, all right, we're doing this now. So rather than go out and get into fisticuffs with this guy,
because Matt is still very hobbled at this point.
For the moment, which is interesting when you really think about it, but we'll get to that. So he lets the guy take off down the stairs.
We got the classic winding staircase going down.
Of course.
New York City apartment building.
Yep. I've been up and down some of those. They're not fun.
No.
My best friend used to live on a 6th floor walk up. That was a good time. Oh. That's a good time.
So the guy gets down. Matt grabs a fire extinguisher, and he's just kind of holding it over the rail.
Yeah.
Just waiting for his moment.
And then he lets it go.
And then he says, B9. Yep. And then lets it go. And it's a hit.
Oh.
He sank the battleship.
And here's the thing. Matt has like a no-kill thing going on,
yes.
But boy, oh boy, he's playing a little fast and loose right now because that, let me tell you what, you get hit on the head from that kind of height
with
by a fire extinguisher.
And not one of those small fire extinguishers.
No.
Yeah.
You kill a guy with that.
So
anyway, we'll let it go.
We'll let it slide. We got
Matt's under duress.
Suspension of disbelief. Okay, so really quick, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but we jump back to Karen and Foggy, and we get an introduction to Josie's
bar. Now, Daredevil brethren. Now you're in the club now. If you don't know that Matt Murdock resides in Hell's Kitchen, if you don't know that Hell's Kitchen is kind of a character unto itself in Daredevil's universe,
yep.
Josie's Bar is one of those locations that comes up all the time in the comics, and it's basically their favorite watering hole, but it's also a cesspool of filth and crime where sometimes bad things are happening in the back room.
Yeah, it's the hole-in-the-wall bar in the hole-in-the-wall neighborhood in the hole-in-the-wall city. Correct.
But it comes up a lot. It's a recurring place. Yeah. It's familiar ground.
And we meet Josie herself. Just picture stereotypical surly
bartender Josie.
Yeah. She's got the flannel shirt on with the sleeves cut off.
And the Harley Davidson tank top.
Yep.
And she kind of gives Foggy a hard time.
Yeah, so pretty much you got figured out who we're talking about. And this is like the one place where you can believe where people who are broke can go and drink.
Yes. Although he insists that they drink for free, but Josie insists that no, you don't.
Yeah, they probably have a very merciful tab.
There was a sign on the mirror in the bar. I noticed this. It said no tabs.
And no cash. Or no cards.
No cards. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Josie's is a place that will come up in the future episodes.
Sure.
We get a quick introduction to it here. More Karen and Foggy banter.
Again, it's getting sort of flirty.
One thing Karen says here that connects to the end of the episode is that like she's having a hard time going back to her apartment because she can't get the blood out of the carpet from the guy who was killed in her apartment.
Right. And that's twice now that she's been two attempts on her life have been made in her apartment now.
Yeah. And she looks around the city and all she sees is the bad parts. And she mentions how she is living in fear. But leave that there. We'll come back to that toward the end of the episode.
It's almost like it's a theme of Daredevil.
Some sort of theme.
So, flashback.
Yes.
Well,
before the flashback, they lug Mr. Russian up to the rooftop.
Correct. Right. And they tie him up.
And Claire's like, why are we bringing him up here? And Matt's simply like, so no one will hear him scream. So we know something's about to go down. But we go to another flashback.
Now, this one's kind of cool only because, well, actually, this is a pivotal for Matt's origin in a way. Like he's already got kind of the powers as a kid, but every good superhero needs that insane tragedy that drives them to become a costumed vigilante. So Jack gets his nice new robe for his fight coming up against Creel, which he's very excited about. And even though he's going to take the dive, he's getting a hell of a payday from the mob to take that dive. So he gets his nice new robe, and I kind of like this. It's a nice wink, wink, nod, nod to the OG Daredevil outfit. It's red and yellow.
Yes.
So if you've ever seen Daredevil's original costume, red and yellow.
Brown and yellow?
It was really. I'm finger quoting red here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jack's got the red and yellow robe.
So and Matt kind of is discussing with his father about we do the right thing, right, Dad? Because Matt heard
Murdoch's get up, as he says.
Yeah, Murdoch's we get hit, but we always get up.
Right. Pride.
Yeah, pride.
Jack's pride is stinging a little bit.
So Jack, in this flashback, obviously changes his mind. He's going to go for it.
Calls the bookie,
puts all the money on himself.
To knock out Creel.
Yeah, to win by knockout. Very poignant line here. I want to hear them cheer for. I want my son to hear them cheer for me just once.
But then he makes a second call after he calls the bookie, and I'm pretty sure it's very much implied that he calls Matt's mom.
I wrote that down. I wrote Jack bets on himself and then calls Matt's mother.
Yep.
But then I put a question mark.
As did I.
He doesn't really, because you and I know who Matt's mother is.
I do, but it's very much that phone call is very implied that he calls Matt's mother.
Yeah. But
who else could it have been?
Exactly. Who else could it have been?
Oh, yeah.
He never says, Matt's going to need his mother.
No, but it was a woman who was on the answering machine that picks up. And he says something to the effect of, Matt is this and this. He certainly doesn't get that from me.
Yeah.
Hinting that he gets it from whoever's on it.
I think in all likelihood...
It's vague enough, but I think he calls...
In all likelihood, 95% chance, yes, it is his mother.
Right.
But there's room for surprises.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure... Maybe, we'll see.
You never know.
But in case you don't know, Matt's mom... we'll get to that.
Yeah. So we go back to the rooftop for a little bit of interrogation.
Yeah. Now I have I wrote this down. Matt's got no time for bullshit.
No.
So he's pounded on this guy and asking, where is the kid? Where
and the
is
guy's
the kid?
resilient.
He is. He's not giving up anything.
We're not talking about a soft here. We're talking about a Russian mobster.
Right.
They grow them a little thicker in Russia.
Yeah. And the guy tells him pretty much, I'm not going to tell you where the kid is. And even if you got the kid back, we're just going to get another kid.
Yeah.
And then as long as there's people want to pay for him, we're going to be doing what we're doing, and you can't stop us.
And this is the point. Like, this whole episode, Claire has been questioning Matt.
Right.
Questioning what he's doing, why he's doing, who he is. But when she hears the Russian say this, because she's standing there in like a makeshift mask.
Yeah.
She gets it.
She is staring the demon in the eye. She is seeing the filth that Matt is up against.
Yeah. She understands. And then she, without hesitation, goes, take the knife.
Yeah.
Put it here. I didn't write
in his
down.
eye.
In the nerve above his eye.
Yes.
And Matt's like, how will I know if I'm hitting it? And she's just like,
oh, he'll tell you.
He'll let you know. So, and sure enough, he hit that nerve. There was much screaming to be had.
Right. And he still won't give it up.
Yeah.
He still won't say where the kid is. So Matt decides, okay, we're going to... He goes full Batman. He kind of goes Bale here.
Matt understands that he needs to inspire fear. And so he brings him to the edge of the roof and he says, like, listen, yeah, you said that if I take you out, that another one's going to come and take your place.
Well, like I said, he does go full Bale. Where is he? He says it like that too. And I was like, oh, it's so Dark Knighty. Anyway.
And Matt says, I'll take them out too because I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
guy finally gives it up.
Yeah, the guy gives it up. Matt tosses him off the roof into the same dumpster that Claire pulled him out of.
Today I learned that dumpsters save lives.
Dumpsters do save lives.
Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
I've heard that somewhere.
So, and Claire freaks out. And Matt's like, no, he's alive.
Yeah.
And
it's a kind of a Terminator, he'll live kind of moment.
Exactly. And Claire kind of calls Matt out on a lie. She's like, you can't enjoy this.
You don't, I don't believe you that you enjoy this.
Yeah, and as the audience, I don't think we believe him either because we know that essentially Matt is a good person.
Yeah, well, he tries. He's trying.
Yeah. Despite
the handing out beatings, he's a good dude.
Yeah, I mean, if you scrape away everything on the surface, if you scrape away the mistakes which humanize him, make him just like you and me, at his core, Matt is a good person.
Right. And he wants to see good people thrive, and he does not want to see bad people ruin his neighborhood.
Yeah. There's another point with Claire. Claire, we get a window into Claire's motives for helping Matt. Because Claire has seen the efforts of Matt's work.
Correct.
In the hospital.
As she alluded to earlier, people have been coming into the hospital that Matt has beat the crap out of.
Yeah.
And they said a man in a black mask assaulted them as they were, doing up to no good.
Waitress was getting off work. There was a guy
mugged.
waiting for her in the parking lot with a knife. Man in the black mask showed up.
Yep. So Matt's reputation already precedes him.
Yeah.
So at this point, we get another flashback. And this time, it is Goodnight, Sweet Prince for Battle and Jack Murdoch.
This is a relatively quick flashback. We see Matt watching television. We hear the commentary. Jack wins the fight.
Right.
Jack runs right into the locker room, trying to make an escape.
Now, again, I should note, he should have watched Pulp Fiction.
Should have.
You gotta
go out the window.
Don't go to the locker room and take your gloves off. Go out the window
into the
cab,
dumpster.
into the dumpster. That's right. Look at that.
A dumpster
Again with it. See, full circle. And then you make sure you have that cab waiting. You get changed in the cab. You get the hotel. And you leave. No, Battle and Jack.
Watch it.
No, not a Tarantino guy, I guess.
Pulp Fiction tells you how to survive life.
It really does.
It doesn't tell you how to survive it very well.
No. Stay out of the bathroom. I learned that from Pulp Fiction. Bad things happen when you go to the bathroom.
Stay out of pawn shops.
Yeah, especially the basements.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
In any case.
So, but yeah, Jack is confronted in the locker room. We don't even see who the trigger man is.
Well, we do get the little moment where the crowd is chanting his name.
Yeah.
And then we hear the gunshot, and then Matt wakes up, runs outside into the alley.
Because I think the way they played it, the way they edited it, was that Matt heard the gunshot.
Yes.
And that woke him up.
Yes.
And then runs to the alley, finds his father.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good night, Speed Prince.
Flash forward to the present. We get to the pivotal moment.
The pivotal moment
of this episode.
Yes. Now, here's the thing: when you see this episode for the first time, I don't think any of us had any idea that this was coming.
No.
So we get a quick moving camera establishing shot. Now it goes down this hallway. It goes into a room. You see a table of like 5 Russian mob guys playing cards.
Yeah.
One guy leaves, closes the door in that room, goes to another room across the hall. There's another 5-ish guys.
Yeah, I counted 10 guys total.
Okay. One guy leaves that room with a plate of food, goes to the very end of the hall where there's a door with a lock on it. The guy unlocks the door, goes in. You hear the kid saying, I want my dad, let me go.
Yeah.
The mobster says something in Russian, gives him the plate, and walks out and
takes
closes.
Kid's apple.
Yeah, sure. Well, kids don't like apples anyway.
Dick.
Kids want fruit snacks and stuff.
I like apples.
You're not a kid.
I liked it when I was a kid.
Fair enough.
All right.
So then, this is all one kind of cool shot, by the way. As a film guy, let me tell you, they definitely cheated it in a couple spots.
No, they didn't. Sure.
If you look,
it's all one shot.
If you look real close, you can see where they. But don't let my pedantic observations ruin what is a series defining and pop culturally pivotal. This
sequence. Yeah.
This sequence, like, again, put the show on the map. You ask anybody now, the hallway fight, they're going to know exactly what you're talking about, and they're going to be like, dude, that was
the hallway fight.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
It will be speaked of in these reverent tones from here to eternity.
Spoken of.
Whatever. I'm excited about it. Get out of here. So then the camera goes back, so the other mobster goes back in the other room. Mobsters are in their respective rooms.
Yeah.
Camera turns around, and who was on the other side of the hallway? Matt.
Just walks into the hallway.
And he's ready to go.
And this shot mirrors the shot of Jack walking down the hallway to the fight.
Right.
I made that connection on this viewing. I think this is my 3rd viewing of the episode. So we have an establishing shot of Matt.
Now at this point,
his
I don't even know what to say.
Roped up.
Oh, he's taped up. He's ready to go.
He knows what is going to happen. He knows how many are in there. And so he just goes up, knocks on the door of the first room, and the fight commences.
The fight begins. And
we don't see anything in this first room. We just hear
it.
Ruckuses.
Right.
And the guys in the other room hear it, and they come
hang
running.
on. They don't hear it yet.
Oh, yeah. Matt has to remove
in our
the
sequence,
door first.
Matt, he goes into the first room. You hear the commotion. You hear punches, and you hear, again, ruckus. And then the door explodes outward with a guy on top of it.
Yeah.
And the fight spills outward into the hallway. And then a microwave gets tossed out of the room into a guy's head.
That's the thing. The guys from the other room start to come out, and they don't know what's going on. All they know is something is going on.
Right.
They probably assume that, hey, this is the guy we're looking for. This guy walks up to the door that's been broken down, doesn't look in the door for more than a second.
Whack.
When the microwave hits him in the head.
Yeah. Yep. And then the fight spills out. Matt is fist fighting 5 guys at a time in a hallway. They shoot at him. They can't hit him. He disarms their guns. Now it's down to fists, and away we go.
Yeah. There's 10 guys. There's a fight going on. What makes this so great is that this is by no means easy for Matt.
No.
Matt is still clearly injured, but I've got written down here everything Matt has.
Yeah.
He is throwing at these guys. And this sequence goes on for about, I think, 6 and 7 minutes.
I didn't time it, but it's long.
I just kind of noticed it. Like, I paused. I was like, how long is this going to go for? So mine's time for end credits and whatnot, about 6 or 7 minutes. The fight goes in rounds, almost. Because there are points when Matt kind of...
He staggers and he props himself up against the wall.
Gets just a couple seconds just to lean up against the wall and catch his breath while the other guys are catching their breath.
Yeah.
And then they come at him again. He's just like, okay, here we go again. And then he just goes through them. And the fight goes kind of back and forth, but Matt kind of steadily maintains the upper hand, and just
he takes 10 guys apart.
But
like you said, the pull of it, or the coolness of it, besides the way it was shot, you see Matt get tired. He's just,
you see him as a human. This kind of goes back, and it goes back to what we were mentioning in the first episode, the concept of the street level hero as opposed to the global level hero.
Right. Captain America takes apart a whole boat full of guys in the opening scene of Winter Soldier, doesn't even lose it, doesn't take a
gets a
lose his
bit
breath.
Of a sweat fighting the Leaper.
Maybe a little sweat. He even took the Leaper out pretty quickly.
The Avengers take out a small army of arms dealers, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
They are global response heroes.
And they're super powered, so they can,
Yeah, one of them's a god. One of them's a creature with limitless strength. So
Cap is a super soldier.
Yeah.
Iron Man's got the armor, so...
The street level hero, and you and I have talked about this in the past, is more appealing to me because, you know what, I'm grateful if those global level heroes are going to be out there stopping an asteroid from hitting the Earth. Obviously, I'm grateful for that.
But I can't relate to it.
Yeah, but if I'm walking down the street with my wife and my kid, and some dude jumps out with like a knife or what have you in a comic book world like they do, and these guys are there on the ground, they've got some powers, but not, world-defining powers. And you hear the thwip of a web shooter, or you hear the whoosh of the billy club, and, these guys are on the ground making sure that people like you and me get home safely. That we can go about our days without having to worry about things that, could normally come and do us harm.
And just from a dramatic standpoint, in terms of how it's constructed,
it's better storytelling.
It's easier to get invested when the stakes are more real. When it's it's just more grounded.
Yeah, like I have all the respect in the world for whoever decides to write Superman.
Sure,
because how do you give a character who can crack the planet in half with a punch a problem?
Right. Takes a great mind to make that interesting.
Yeah.
Like a Grant Morrison, maybe.
I was wondering how many episodes we were going to go before Grant Morrison mentioned from you.
2 episodes.
But with the street level characters, we kind of all share the same problems.
Sure. And when you set, again, this scene, man, is like this friggin' scene. It's a hallway. It's a guy fighting in a hallway.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly tense and dramatic, and you're like on the edge of your seat, pins and needles, like, oh my God, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna get there? Like, what's gonna happen? And it's I don't know, it's awesome. It's just flat out, man, it's awesome.
And then we get, the fight's done. Matt goes up to the door,
and he's out of breath. He
is winded. He's just like, he looks like he just ran a marathon.
Yep.
He looks like marathon runners do when they cross the finish line.
And he goes into the room.
Yeah. Well, he starts to go in the room, stops, takes off his mask.
Ah, that's right. Yep.
Because there's the understand that there's a scared small kid in here. Seeing a dude dressed all in black in a black mask might not be the best thing. So he goes in the room. He says, I'm here to help. I'm going to take you back to your dad.
Yep.
And there's a line here that I'm going to get. I know we're talking about a comic book show, and we're talking about things that like we enjoy to watch. I'm going to get a little bit serious here for a moment.
Uh-oh.
I've had a lot of stuff go on in the country this week.
Yeah. Last few days have been pretty terrible.
We've had the police shootings. We've had what happened in Dallas last night. We live in a time when the news, it seems its only point a lot of times is to make us afraid. We live in a fear-based society with fear-based media shoving a message of fear down our throats. I mentioned in the last episode that I claim a faith. The faith I claim is that in Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. I've been so for over 20 years. And the one thing I struggle with the most in my faith that is mentioned in the Bible numerous times. Do not be afraid. I'll be honest with you. I struggle with that the most in my faith. More so now that I have a child. I have a 4-month-old son. And we see the things that happened this past week in the country. How people are reacting to it. How divided we can all be over these things. And, you and I were in our mid to late 30s. I can understand how someone can look at us watching these things, reading these comics, and be like, you're grown men. Why are you still doing that? I can totally get that. But this next line that Matt says, you don't have to be scared anymore. It's a comfort to me. And it helps me not only in my life, but also in my faith. That these characters, fictional, not real, give us the hope that we can live in a world where we don't have to be scared. And that line really spoke to me in this watch through the episode. So I apologize for getting a little serious on Ollie, but that was something that really weighed on me when I watched the episode this time through. And then we see the scene that still gets me a little misty-eyed.
Uh-oh.
Matt carrying the kid.
All right, because this whole time you don't see the inside of that room.
Yeah, the camera is outside the room.
Yeah, this is all one shot down this hallway.
Matt walks out with the kid. The kid's not scared.
Nope.
The kid knows he's going to see his dad again.
Because Daredevil did his job.
Daredevil whooped that ass.
Yep.
And
he's like a guardian devil.
See
what happened?
Full circle.
See?
Now, on my notes, as you can see, there's a line going from that line, you don't have to be afraid anymore, all the way back to
your first note.
Karen mentioned earlier.
Living in fear. Yeah, well, what's Daredevil also known as?
The Man Without Fear.
Man Without Fear. Now, sometimes it's just a moniker.
Yep.
But at the same time, it thematically in this show, that is what Matt is fighting for.
Yeah.
He's fighting for that neighborhood so the people don't have to be afraid to live where they live.
Yeah. So he walks out, credits roll. Wow. What an episode.
Like I said, jaws were agape. We were dumbfounded as to how awesome.
Me and Mike Hoffer just looking at each other like, did that just happen?
That just happened. It was incredible. So if you
literally, this is what I compare that moment to. Is I felt the same joy in that moment that I felt when I watch the original Superman movie when he catches the helicopter and he catches Lois. That pure joy.
Sure.
Of seeing something that I've loved in print become realized in live action.
Yeah.
So, episode 2.
Yeah, this is a fantastic and, again, a pivotal, defining episode of the show. And that fight scene cemented this show as, like, a real game changer. I can't stress it enough. This episode and that fight, like, put this show on the map. At that moment, we all knew Marvel TV was going down a whole new path that was setting a bar of quality that we were not prepared for.
Yeah. It was really, really freaking well done.
Yeah. And like you said, it does kind of just get better because we haven't even met. This episode had nothing to do with the Kingpin or anything.
Nothing at all. We didn't see Wesley this episode. We didn't see the crime families.
Nope.
We just saw some Russian thugs.
Russian thugs in a hallway. One of which, by the way, real quick, before we start wrapping things up here, one of the Russian guys did have track pants on. I am crossing my fingers. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get the Tracksuit Mafia in a later show. Bro. If you don't know who the Tracksuit Mafia is, guys, you really need to do yourself a favor and read the Matt Fraction Hawkeye series, and you will come to love the Tracksuit Mafia.
Yes.
And love to hate them as well.
So, okay.
And there's a dog. Anyway.
There's a dog. Pizza dog. That about does it for us here at The Devil's Due.
Yes. Winded. Great episode.
Second episode.
Great
Wonderful episode.
Well, the show, I mean. This one, hopefully you think it was good too.
Yes. Again, we appreciate any and all feedback you'd like to give us. To give us that feedback, you can find us at the following resources. You can find us at Twitter at the Devils Do Pod. Please follow us, retweet us, share us with your friends. You can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/DevilsDoPod, or you can just use the search function, search Devils Do. If you would like to email us, you can do so at thedevilsdopod@gmail.com.
Well done.
Any parting thoughts, sir?
I would hope it's all downhill after that. Like this episode is so critical.
Just keeps going up.
It does keep going up.
Alrighty. Court's adjourned.
Ooh. You
like that?
I think, yeah. I do. but is it wrong that I can't help but think of Stallone from the Judge Dredd movie?
Stop. So really? We do an episode like this.
I know.
Do an episode like this, and you want to end it with Stallone's Judge Dredd?
Oh, yeah, man.
Thanks for listening. We're the Devils Do. I'm Carl Duty.
I'm Drew Celestino. Court's adjourned, folks.